Right, okay, folks. Here it is. Here are the, well, here's going to be my walkthrough of the mock paper. Before I start, I'd just like to thank everyone who has contributed to the Google Doc for this and actually contributed their own solutions. As far as I'm concerned, they're correct, right? There are a few clarifications I'm going to make as we go along. Biggest confusion seems to be over significant figures, but let me see if I got them here actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, here they are. So this document, which you can get on Vital or on Teams, is a pretty good working document completed by you. And yeah, there's nothing really in there that is wrong. There are just a few quibbles, I think. We'll go through those now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break this into 18 questions. I'm going to break that into groups of 5, I think, so there'll be 4 videos. The thing I really want to start with, I'm just going to read through the front matter of the paper. I think that's really important that we do that together first. So let's take a look. For those of you who didn't attend my tutorials, you will have missed out on me saying that, you know, this is it. This is a written paper. The way that this looks, what you can see here now, this is exactly what you're going to see in your final exam. So I really just want to make sure that you understand going into this. Now, there was a clarification that I made. There was a lecture slide very early on. I think it was our first week where I'd copy and pasted something. So basically it said written exam, and then it said MCQ next to it. Okay, now I shouldn't have said that. And what I have been telling people all along, despite that mistake, is this is a written exam. Okay, it's not a multiple choice exam. It's also a formal exam. You cannot take any resources or materials. You certainly won't be able to access online materials during this test. It's going to be your calculator, your pen, and your bare wit. Okay, so don't expect multiple choice questions. Don't expect to be allowed to use your phones or your laptops for this exam. This is a hardcore written exam. I'm just going to read these instructions. Number 1, do not turn pages or start the test until you are instructed to do so. You may not leave during the first 30 minutes or the last 15 minutes of the test. Where appropriate, you may use a ruler, a pen, a pencil, eraser. Otherwise, all other material must be placed out of sight. You may use a scientific calculator for the test. If you're not sure as to whether your calculator is permitted in this exam, post me a pic of it. I'll give you a thumbs up. I'm yet to be shown a picture of a calculator that I've said no, you can't use. We relaxed the rules this year. As long as your calculator can't store sort of written text, so you're able to take notes into the exam, it's totally legit, right? You may not use your phone or any other electronic device. The number of times this happens every year. If you are caught with your phone in your hand during an exam, you are gone. You're out the room, right? I know the temptation is overwhelming. Sometimes I find my phone in my hand. I don't even know how I got there. My advice to you, don't even take your phone into the exam, right? If you are caught with your phone in your hand, you'll be asked to leave the exam room, right? If you need to leave the exam room early, so if you complete it with more than sort of 15 minutes to go, then just put the exam paper face down and leave. Okay. Number of marks indicated per question will be indicated in curly brackets. I'll be talking about that in a second when we go through some of these questions. How am I awarding these marks? Everything you write must be in the exam booklet itself. There'll be no lined paper. There'll be no additional sheets flying around. You will not be allowed to remove your exam script from the exam hall, okay? Under pain of death. you do not take your exam scripts out of your room. You hand them in. They will have your answers in, so you'll want to do that, right? Partial credit may be awarded for workings, even if the calculation is incorrect. Yep, so we, unlike the MCQs, which are pretty merciless, we are operating full discretion here. I'll be training all of my markers to award as many marks to you as possible. So if you've got a multi-stage calculation and you get the last stage wrong, but you still calculate an answer, we can still award partial credit for that. Typically, it'll be half marks, okay? There'll also be credit awarded for whether your answers are expressed the correct number of significant figures or not, and that is point 10. All calculated answers should be expressed the correct number of significant figures. And that applies throughout, with no exceptions, okay? So bear that in mind when you're doing that. There will be a proportion of all of your marks are going to be attributed to whether or not you can state your answer to the correct number of significant figures. Yeah, I know you hate me, but but it's important. So bloody well do it. Okay, typically it's going to be about 2 marks per question for significant figures, okay? Right, I'm going to pause there. This is part 1 of the video. So in the next video, I'll just start working through these problems, okay? Hope that clarifies. Oh, before I go, right, let's just go a few pages here. Everything else in this paper is going to look, the next few pages are going to look identical to what you're going to get on Wednesday. So, information you might need. We've got how to calculate the number of moles in a substance if you know the mass in grams. How to calculate molarity. I've told you how to do that. This is obviously an important one. This is your C1V1 equals C2V2 if you're doing a serial dilution. Here's the complicated equation for the standard deviation. Here's the standard error. And here is the 95% confidence index. Now, you might not need all of this information in this mock paper, but hint, you may well need all of it in the actual paper, okay? So this is the information I'm providing you. There's also this table, which tells you the critical values of a two-tailed t-test for a significance of alpha equals 0.05. You're going to need that table as well. We'll get to that later. Okay, so first question coming up. So you'll see a lot of the pages are left intentionally blank. That is so you can do your working out on them. Right, question 1 is coming up. I'm just going to pause it there.